papers over there.
All right, thank you, Mr. Myers. Our second student speaker of the day is Aubrey Noonan. Aubrey was born and raised in Fort Worth, Texas, and attended college at the University of North Texas, where she majored in psychology. Aubrey is a second-year law student here at Tech, where in addition to being a staff editor on our journal, she's a member of the Student Bar Association, the representative for the State Bar of Texas Law School Division, among multiple other organizations. Aubrey will be presenting about her article that will be published in Volume 7, Book 2, titled Bitcoin or Bust: Can One Really Trust One's Digital Assets? Please join me in welcoming Aubrey Noonan.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to speak here with all of you today. As Evan said, I'm going to be talking about Bitcoin. Just to start off with, by show of hands, how many of you actually know or are aware of what Bitcoin is? Good, a lot more than I thought. Well, that's great. Just to start off with, we're going to see what Bitcoin actually is. So first, Bitcoin is a decentralized global transaction network. What this means is that there's no single repository and there's no single administrator that's actually in the system of Bitcoin calling all the shots. It's a peer-to-peer network, which means that individuals can directly transact with each other without someone in the middle actually monitoring or administering these different transactions. Second, as a network, and one of the biggest perks of Bitcoin is that it's completely transparent. One of the inherent qualities of Bitcoin is that every single transaction is publicly published onto the network itself, maintained by a thing called the blockchain. The blockchain basically is a series of codes that represent the transactions that have happened directly between the individual users. The blockchain is the public ledger, and in order for transactions to actually go onto the blockchain, they have to be verified by every single user of the Bitcoin network. So that quality basically allows for everyone to see who the Bitcoins are going, or who they're coming from and who they're going to and at what time. Second, Bitcoin is a source of fixed supply currency. So what that means basically is at Bitcoin's inception, it was created by a person or persons, Satoshi Nakamoto, in 2009. Bitcoin was created with a cap of 21 million Bitcoins that will ever be in circulation or created. That being said, Bitcoin is not a tangible object. I can't hold a Bitcoin in my hand and offer it to you as I would any other type of currency. Bitcoin is basically a series of codes and numbers. The easiest way to kind of put this into a picture for all of you is Bitcoin as an actual coin is basically like a mathematical equation. So we all took algebra in high school, and let's just take a simple equation. A plus B equals C. Bitcoin itself would be a variable within the equation, so say A. And in order to gain a Bitcoin, you have to solve the mathematical equation and break the chain to actually have the transaction take place and be on the public ledger on the blockchain network. There's 21 million parts to that equation because there's 21 million Bitcoins that will ever be in circulation. And currently, we're a little bit over 13 million Bitcoins that are in circulation currently. And third, in 2014, the IRS actually sent a notice that classified Bitcoin as property. And as such, a lot of practitioners see value in the classification of property just because it's easier to transfer property rather than currency, and because of the known tax implications of property status. So we've seen what Bitcoin is. How can you actually store Bitcoin? Well, there's two ways of doing that. First is in a digital wallet. The digital wallet is just electronic safekeeping. Now, you can keep your digital wallet on your computer in a file or another program, or you can choose to go through a third-party company, a wallet storage company. Oftentimes, these wallet storage companies are also served as exchanges, so you could be able to convert your Bitcoins into particular currency, whether it's United States dollars or any other form of currency. Second, you can have cold storage. Cold storage just means it's offline. You have it on a piece of paper, you store it away in your safe, you keep it in your desk drawer. There's inherent issues with that because obviously you could lose the code, and once you lose any particular part of the code, to access your Bitcoins or to access your wallet, it's gone forever. You can no longer access those particular Bitcoins You're just out of luck. So why would anyone actually trust in Bitcoin? Why would they ever want to invest in Bitcoin? Well, Bitcoin was created in distrust of centralized financial institutions. Whether it's the particular person taking place and monitoring your bank accounts and having to go through transactional fees associated with typical banking institutions, and also because of the transparent characteristic of Bitcoin. Everyone knows what's going on in Bitcoin. Every single user can see every transaction on the blockchain. So some of the big points are verification. Every user must verify. Irreversibility, there can be no double spending, and the public ledger. So how is Bitcoin regulated? Bitcoin is regulated basically by three ways: who the user is, where the user lives, and what the user is actually doing with the Bitcoins. Just to briefly state that where the user lives, obviously different states classify and regulate Bitcoins differently. Here in Texas, we're a very Bitcoin-friendly economy. We actually were the first state in the nation to incorporate a Bitcoin ATM in Austin, Texas, to allow users to actually convert their Bitcoins into United States dollars or convert their United States dollars into Bitcoins. Who the user is, depending on what type of user you are, there's different classifications, and the more heavily invested you are, or whether you are actually solving those mathematical equations to obtain the Bitcoins, there's different regulations pertaining to that. And third, what the user is doing. This is very complicated subject matter with as far as what you're using the Bitcoins for, whether business purposes or day-to-day transactions. There's multiple regulations and entities of the government that heavily regulate this area. Okay, so how are Bitcoins actually valued? How do you know how much a Bitcoin is actually worth? Well, we all know that Bitcoins are entirely volatile. They change per second. It's really hard to monitor the market, but the value is derived from users and the internal operational limits within Bitcoin, the 21 million cap. So I think the easiest way to compare this is to a hanging tree of fruit. The harder it becomes harder to obtain the higher pieces of fruit, the more people actually create Bitcoins. So it's going to be harder to solve those mathematical equations, the more circulation and creation of Bitcoins up into the $21 million cap, or 21 million Bitcoin cap. Okay, and as I said earlier, the fair market value is currently how you value Bitcoins, United States dollars. The last time I checked, it was around $267, but it could be changing every second that I'm speaking currently. There's obviously some risks and benefits to investment in Bitcoin, but a testament to how many people actually invest in Bitcoin. Currently, there's approximately 60 million transactions that have occurred with Bitcoin from 2009 until 2014. And Bitcoin and venture capital investments in 2014 increased. There's more people and in larger quantities are actually investing in Bitcoin. Currently, it's about $360 million in United States currency that's actually invested in Bitcoin. And merchants around the nation are actually accepting it. Up to 75,000 at this point have actually begun to accept Bitcoins within their particular business. Now, there's two different ways that you could invest in Bitcoins. One is the Bitcoin Investment Trust. There are perks to the Bitcoin Investment Trust. It is a private grantor trust invested exclusively in Bitcoin. The one big drawback is that you have to be an accredited investor actually to become a shareholder of the Bitcoin Investment Trust. And in order to be an accredited investor, you have to at least put $25,000 down as an investment into the Bitcoin Investment Trust. Now, second, we have the Winklevoss Bitcoin ETF. We've all heard of the Winklevoss twins with Facebook. They have applied to create an ETF with the SEC, and it has not been approved at this point, but it would be for the day-to-day people, someone who want to buy that Apple. They want to be able to invest in Bitcoin on a daily basis, but they don't have $25,000 to actually invest in Bitcoin. Okay, now how does this all apply to all of you, estate planners? The legal implications of Bitcoin. So Bitcoin system does not currently support user designation of a beneficiary of a power of attorney or any joint accounts within their particular system. There's obviously an inherent security measure to this. I think the easiest way to put it is that there is no bundle of sticks with Bitcoin. There's only one stick, and it's the right to use and to control. And because of that, and because of the security measures that are in place, only one person is able to access the account at one time. That being said, there are non-traditional estate planning ways to actually meet your estate planning objectives. As listed, there are 5. These are all more computer-generated things, the dead man's switch and other things, but those are just to keep in mind. Those are some options for clients. Second, obviously, trust law. Let's get into trust law. So trust placing your Bitcoins into a trust. Obviously, the point of asset protection is one of the main goals of actually putting assets into a trust. Currently, most people who use Bitcoins do it for day-to-day transactions rather than for wealth accumulation. But with these potential investment vehicles, I think we'll see more people investing heavily in Bitcoin for wealth accumulation purposes. So as such, there's several different types of trusts that I have recommended. All the benefits and perks of those particular trusts are also applicable to Bitcoin assets. And the importance of the trustee, the main thing I can say about that is whoever the user is and the settler is of the trust should pick a trustee that truly understands the legal implications of Bitcoin and can monitor the market to look for appreciation and depreciation in the market value of Bitcoin to know when to liquidate the holdings of the trust. Okay, issues. Currently, there is no way to directly place your wallet into a trust. If you store your wallet in a digital wallet storage company, some of the biggest ones are Coinbase and Cryptsy, they have no measure in place to allow you to put your wallet with your Bitcoin holdings and assets into a trust. Now, that's obviously a big issue. But one thing I really took away from this, and I think it sums it up, is that this was a quote from one of the representatives of the wallet storage company. The nature of the Bitcoin wallet is that you should be the only person with access. It's akin to burying cash in a spot that only you know of. So currently, you're not allowed to give out any information to a spouse or a family member with any access to your wallet whatsoever, and the family members can't even call the companies to see whether you have a wallet or any information about you accessing your wallet with that particular company. They are completely secretive, and it's for security measures, obviously. Also, Bitcoin's legal status could change at any point. It could be dissolved as property in the trust if it actually is able to be placed into a trust. And my suggestion is that these companies need to have mechanisms in place to allow clients who want to invest in Bitcoin and want to use their companies for storage purposes and security purposes to actually be able to place your wallet directly into a trust. That being said, if they don't, the only way to really include your Bitcoin assets and to pass them on to anyone upon death is to have it in your will. Now that creates an issue because the probate process is going to draw into court these companies and the users, and the goal of anonymity is completely destroyed. That will be on the public record, and there will be no way to avoid that unless these companies actually implement measures to allow you to place your wallet into your trust. Now, I think Bitcoin as an investment is great, and we've seen some of the numbers related to it. Overall, for estate planning attorneys, what I can say to you is that money is being made with technology, and we see these .com billionaires investing heavily in Bitcoin. And so my suggestion is that to meet the needs of these people who are obviously going to want to carry their wealth into the future, to understand the intricacies of Bitcoin, to monitor the legal status of Bitcoin, and to meet the needs of the clients. Thank you. Sorry, that was probably the quickest explanation of Bitcoin. I hope that y'all gleaned something from it. If you have any questions, I'll be available during lunch. Please enjoy your lunch.
Thank you, Aubrey. As she mentioned, we're now going to take a break for lunch. We will see everyone back here at 12:40 for our next group of presentations. Feel free to bring your lunch in here. It is down the hall in the forum where you grab breakfast and coffee. So thank you very much.
Ooh, where are you turning them? No. That's good. Still fine.